Hey guys, welcome to our 8th block-based programming tutorial. Today we're going to talk about sprite movement, being able to point in a certain direction, and also how to point towards the mouse pointer. With this, we're going to deal primarily with this sprite scratch and not the other two, so make sure the scratch sprite is highlighted. I'm going to drag these other two sprites down here, and we're going to pull scratch up here so that way our attention is just on him. Okay, well, so when I clicked him, still he's moving to a random position, so that's interesting. Let's just put him at -50, and then we'll say +50. Let's see if that puts him. Perfect, I'll put him right there. So in the last example, we were talking about how to make a sprite glide. In this one, we're going to make him point in a certain direction. So if I wanted to make him point in a certain direction, I'm going to go ahead and drag this block off first, and let's just put it over here for later. And let's make him point in a certain direction. Now, by dragging this block in and clicking it in here, if I want him to point in a certain direction, I can click on here and where it says 90, and I can turn him in a certain direction. Now, if I go back to his properties and seeing what directions he's allowed to face, right now we allow for him to face all around. Make sure that he's facing all around. If you have him where he cannot rotate, like I did in a previous example and messed up, or only have him left-right, he's not actually going to rotate in that certain direction, okay? So when he's clicked, I want him to point in a certain direction. So let's say when he's clicked, let's say I want him to point up, okay? And you see up right here is 0 degrees. Really, if I want him to move left to -90, down would be 180, and right would be 90. So let's go ahead and make him face upwards if the sprite is clicked, okay? Now, let's see what happens if I click this sprite, okay? He should be pointing up. So I'm gonna click him, and sure enough, he faces up, which is good, all right? So if I were to change his direction back to 90 degrees right here, that's pretty close. I'll leave it at 89. Well, make it perfect, not at 90. All right, so when I click the sprite, he's going to point in direction 0, which is up. All right, I also want to make him point towards the mouse pointer, right? So let's add a different event in here. You can have multiple events. So when the sprite is clicked, he would point to up, but let's say I want him to face down when let's say when the space key is pressed. So when he's clicked, he should face up, but when the space key is pressed, he's going to face towards the mouse pointer, and I'll leave the mouse pointer down here. So I'm going to go ahead and, let's go ahead and click him, and he faces up, right? If I press the space key, he's going to face down. When I click him, he's going to face up. If I have the mouse over here and I click on the space key, he's going to face the mouse pointer, right? If I move the mouse pointer over here and press the space key, he's facing this way. So once again, if I click him, he's going to face up. If I click the space key, he's going to face the mouse pointer, right? And I can add another thing in here. If I want to drag this block in here, when he's clicked, he's going to point up and glide to a random position. It's going to do two things. Remember now that when this sprite is clicked, it's going to follow the order of which the blocks that you wrote it in. So it's going to point in direction up and glide to a random position. Let's see what happens. All right, he faced up and went to a random position. If I click the space key, he's going to face down here. If I click him, he should face up and glide to a random position. All right, so just to recap, two things we went through were being able to have him point in a direction, as well as being able to point towards the mouse pointer. In the next tutorial, we're going to look at changing the X and Y by a certain amount, or setting the XY to a certain amount, both in the motion category. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.